Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of From the Mount, a podcast from Mount Perrin Christian School. I'm your host for this episode, again, Steve Kyle, joining me in the co-host seat, as almost usual for all of them, Miss Viola Lucier.
Hello, everyone.
I think you've been in almost every one.
Almost.
We did just release one that you were not a part of, and we'll see if you being a part has any gauge of its success.
Oh, no.
Or failure. Yeah, we're going to see that. But I'm really excited because we really got our first episode where we have one of our illustrious students right here from Mount Perrin joining us. Thrilled to have one of our seniors, Caitlin Ealey, with us. Caitlin, welcome to the From the Mount podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Awesome to have you here. And we haven't done that, Viola. This is the first time we've had for a full length. I mean, like one that's
just a student
coming out. Yeah, just a student.
Yeah, not a short.
And Caitlin, so if this podcast now, and by From the Mount, I mean, it's like a long-term success. Let's say 10 years from now, I'm an old man. I'm still hosting this. You will forever be the first student to have ever been on it. Assuming, by the way, this makes it to the air, I guess.
You should put this on your resume.
Yeah. I should. I will.
Yeah, you can put that there. Well, great to have both of you here with us. We're talking about something I think if I'm a parent, if I'm a student, I'm really interested in because I think when you consider not only Mount Perrin, but education overall, you're thinking of the purpose of and what is next for and the preparation for the future. And that's a big thing. It's over everybody. And because I'm kind of just going to facilitate this, for those that don't know, Viola, who also co-hosts, is the lead head director of counseling.
I am, but that's actually more for social emotional. So
True.
I'm the director of counseling for the K through 12 program. Then we have Dr. Tracy Holmes, who is actually the director of college counseling.
Gotcha.
So she is the woman who's in charge of just making sure that we are programmatically doing what we need to do.
Yeah.
Which she helped me out a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and she's your
good.
I think assigned to your counselor. So I'm going to kind of just, at first, I want to just get a quick snapshot so our listeners know who Caitlin is. And so Caitlin, just maybe a little bit how long you've been here, a part of the Mount Perrin community, a little bit, maybe some things you did while, so people they kind of get an idea. Who is Caitlin? Who am I listening to?
Okay, well, I'm Caitlin. I've been here for 5 years, so I've been here since the 8th grade. And since being in 8th grade, I've participated in volleyball, basketball, softball, track and field. And I think that's pretty much it.
Is that all?
Yeah,
You have
that's
a
all.
softball championship
I
ring.
have a state championship in softball. I won that my sophomore year. And then I have a school record in shot put for track and field.
But congrats on that then.
Thank
I was
you.
at that
Good
track
job.
meet. I did not see you throw that.
It's okay.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to switch gears if you're good with.
Yeah, I just wanted to. I
talking
wanted
more
people
of
to
the-
know, and of course, I remember when you got here 5 years ago as an 8th grader. I had
too.
I had
that's
your
so
older brother, and your older brother used to talk about his little sister as like you were in some way lesser. And if he happens to be listening to this,
He probably is.
I haven't had the privilege.
You're the better Ealey? Is that what we should
no,
say?
I'm not going to say that.
I'm just kidding.
But anyway, so yeah, I think we kind of have an idea. Viola, I'm going to turn it to you.
Okay, so I've had the pleasure of knowing you for 4 years. Did meet you in 8th grade, and I saw you a little bit outside of school too, just with some of the extracurricular stuff. I want you real quick just to talk about, you are somebody who's really good at getting involved. So what are all the things you've been involved in while at Mount Perrin?
Whew, okay.
I know, the list is long.
I was a part of a yearbook from 8th grade until junior year. I was a part of all those sports I just listed off a little bit ago. I've been a part of PMI. I was executive of PMI this year, and I served as just a normal leader last year. Was a part of 11-1. I'm in Key Club. And the biggest thing is like the fastest way to get acclimated to a new environment is to get involved in stuff. And that's why summer before I even had my first day of school here at Mount Perrin, I wanted to try out for volleyball. And I wanted to be involved and meet all of the girls so I could feel more comfortable when I came here in the fall.
Well, and you're a little bit of a different kind of person because you do actually really love to be involved in stuff. So
Yes.
if you hear of something that you're interested in, you are quick to ask questions, sign up for it. But talk to me about, do you have any friends who are a little hesitant?
Yeah, because a lot of people, especially at such a small school, are afraid to fail. Because if you fail here, it's on such a larger scale than if you were to be at another school. So they're almost afraid to be different and afraid to break that mold and step out. And especially through all of the different mentoring programs I've done here at Mount Perrin, I've really tried to instill in like younger grades that it's okay to be different.
Good.
And that God wants us to be different and we're supposed to break through that mold that everybody thinks we should fit into.
I love that part.
Yeah.
You are totally right about that. People do try to swim with the fishies and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
We should be
And
different.
too, when you're at a small school, that failure, and I think that's what you mean. When you're at a small school, everybody kind of knows it.
Exactly.
There's the fear that everybody, and even if people aren't there to judge you or to be critical, you feel the pressure of that. You still feel like everybody's watching, everybody knows. It's so small, everybody knows everybody. At a large school, you can kind of fail in secrecy.
And fly
Right.
under the radar.
Yeah, which is okay
Yeah,
though. So I don't
can.
say that failing's a great thing. I mean, great success comes from oftentimes that great failure, but it sometimes is more comfortable because you fail and it's just nobody,
Right.
only a handful of people maybe were aware of that. So it's some good insight.
But I do think, you do have some pretty thick skin. You are somebody who doesn't necessarily put a lot of stock in what people think, and you're okay doing something different. So I would just, if anyone's listening and your child is the exact opposite and you're just super nervous for them, that's okay because people like Caitlin will pull your kid into stuff and make them do things with her because she's really great at that. So don't be nervous. But switching focus now to a little bit more of the college counseling part. So parents are super concerned because they think by the time their kid is in 4th grade that they should know what they're going to do, where they're going to go, what path they need to be on. Would you say, like right now, if I said you are going to go to college today and you are going to graduate, what degree would you pursue?
I'm pursuing a degree in sports broadcasting with a minor in theology.
Ooh.
Wow.
Wait, they got that at Bama?
That's.
I'm sorry, the University of Alabama has theology?
By the way, she's chosen the University of Alabama. We haven't even
sorry.
established that yet. No, that's okay. No, you can. And we really wanted to wait because now all the Georgia fans are turning this podcast off. Okay,
Including my father.
and we didn't want that immediately, but it's okay. No, that is good. So
Talk about that. Like, what made you want to do theology as a minor, and how did you choose that at Alabama?
Well, I also want to go to seminary school after I go to Alabama. I think since coming to Mount Perrin and really seeing people come in and tell us about their faith, that's what I want to do. I feel like one of my natural gifts is being a communicator and being one of those people who can pull others along. And I feel like God is going to use me to do that, whether it's in broadcasting or it's in mission work. That's what I want to ultimately end up doing is I want to help people who are in areas where it's not safe to be a Christian because everybody should have the privilege of experiencing the love of God.
yeah. I loved what you said, and you can keep going. She said, and God is going to use me. Which I'll be honest, it's just and I think that's intentional. It's not like, I hope he does. I think he will. You're like, God's going to use me. And I, and to me, that's not just like, well, listen to her. That's faith. That's saying, listen, I have confidence that he's going to use you. And so I that's really cool. I love that.
I absolutely love that. So talk to me about when you started this process. What grade were you in? Honestly started the process.
Now, when she started really thinking, or when like parents or outside people started speaking into it?
Started thinking.
Well, I've always been in a very interesting spot when it comes to thinking about my future because I do have 4 older siblings that are a lot older than I am. My oldest sister went off to college when I was 4. So really, that's when I started thinking, oh, this college thing may be fun. But I probably started actively pursuing, like thinking about where I would want to end up in 7th grade.
Okay. And so what was the first kind of thought that you had about that?
Well, when I was in 7th grade, my older brother, Cameron, who Mr. Cal taught, was about to enter his senior year. And all of my siblings were college athletes for the most part. So I was starting to see him go on these visits and talk to these coaches. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I started thinking, if I was ever in that position, where would I want to go? And the school I've always loved, both athletically and academically, has been Alabama.
Really? So where else have you visited?
I've been to UGA. I've been a lot of places, to Tennessee, Mercer. I've been to
Did
all
you go to Eastern Kentucky University? Did you at least visit there?
Yeah, I was there a
Okay.
few times.
I figured you had.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to Eastern Kentucky, Catawba College, Georgia Southern, West Georgia. I've been everywhere, pretty much.
That's a pretty big net you cast, I would say. So finalizing, where all have you been accepted? That's what
I've been accepted to, I'm sorry, I just drew a blank. I've been accepted to Mercer, Alabama, and Western Carolina.
Gotcha. And those are all great schools. And then you're done. Like, now that what made you fall in love with Alabama when you went there 3 weeks ago?
I feel like at no point in my life was there a doubt in my mind I wanted to go to Alabama. I always knew that there were other options I could explore and I wouldn't mind going there, but my heart has always been in Tuscaloosa. So when I went there a few weeks ago and I got to see all of their setup for their broadcasting stuff and meet with all of these people, I knew this is where I want to be for the next 4 years.
Here's like an idea. You should start a podcast with athletes at Alabama, but then you also talk about Jesus. And then you can invite us
And y'all can be
as your
big segment.
guest. Yes, Nicholas.
Yay.
I know.
Awesome. Yeah, and I see a T-shirt. My heart has always been in Alabama. That's what she said, and I was like, oh, that sounds
TM.
like a shirt. Maybe my grandmother has. I'm not sure.
It's actually a cross stitch above the toilet.
So you keep going, because I was going to actually talk a little bit. When you talk about now you're at the cusp, you're just a couple of months away from a major transition point. You came to Mount Perrin as an 8th grader 5 years ago. How do you think that the transition to Mount Perrin has had an impact on your, like, where you're choosing to go, and of course even which is really cool, by the way, what you're choosing to want to do? How has Mount Perrin kind of, and maybe how, had I not come here, this would have potentially been vastly different?
Well, I've always known I was probably going to do something in journalism. I actually published a magazine with my best friend in 2nd grade, and we ran that from 2nd until 5th grade. And then I joined my yearbook staff at my elementary school in 5th grade, did yearbook all throughout middle school. But when I came here, there were just so many opportunities to be in front of the camera. Like, kids at normal schools aren't sitting having these discussions on a podcast right now. And that's when I really fell in love with the broadcasting aspect and talking about sports and talking about my faith and things like that. And I think since I do go to such a small school, I wanted to go to a larger school. But I also wanted to go to a secular college because I wanted to be surrounded by people who may not think the same way as I do. And especially through my Bible class junior year and my apologetics class this year, I have learned so many good tools on how to not only understand people that are different than I am, but how to defend my faith and how to lead more people to Christ. And I think that's a big part of why I want to go to a secular school.
Yeah. I mean, that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
actually really cool, because I would say that there's a good handful of parents who actually want the opposite for their kids. And so how do we navigate this world where there might be some excellent opportunities out there that are in a secular space, but how can we still maintain, like, who we are and whose we are, right? So that's huge. Have you thought about, when you go to college, kind of where you want to get plugged in and what you want to do?
Yes, I know. I want to be a part of a broadcasting team. I want to be on the sideline, hopefully talking with Nick Saban, but talking with athletes and just doing what I've loved to do for so long. I know I want to get involved in Greek life any way I can, really. And I want to be a part of student ministries. I've actually talked to some alumni that go to Bama, and they've offered to take me to church with them and get me plugged into different ministries and stuff like that. So I'm really excited.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that you're already thinking ahead and have already kind of gotten some people to take you with them, because sometimes I feel like parents and maybe most of the time students think that college is a pause for Christianity or for their faith.
Yeah.
And it's not a pause. It should be a continuation. And so just making sure that you are plugged in somewhere is huge.
Yeah.
And you've worked with how many teens, and what would you say is the biggest thing
Well,
that they should be
obviously,
doing?
I think as a family of faith, obviously,
Yeah.
if you're sending your child off to college as a follower of Christ, the most important decision they can make is getting plugged into a community. But I think the priority sometimes gets made where like, well, where can I, rush, or where can I? And I'm not saying those things are bad. I'm saying
Right.
our priority needs to be: I need to surround myself with people that love Jesus, and again, not so you can't do what I think you're going, which is I want to go and be around a lot of people, and you will, but we're going to need that support through. So yeah, it's plugging in and getting involved in a church or college ministry on a regular basis, and having still close friends that share similar faith values. I think that's really important. Not that you don't have this wide breadth of friends who could have any kind of background, but I think those closest to us really need to be people that can support us, encourage us, lift us up, and for sure. And so, if I'm a parent listening, that's what I want to also focus on. And if I'm a younger parent listening to what you've said, I hear that and think, man, that's encouraging for me to find that clarity. But not only that, to say, I want to go to Alabama, but not just Alabama. Then I want to go and be broadcasting, which is a really confident, but not only that, but I want a minor in theology and religion. And I want to use that as a major part of what I do. And people go, that's like, to me, that's awesome.
I was blown away.
If I'm listening, I would be like, oh, that's encouraging. And to know that ultimately, man, our kids, if we just bathe them in prayer and we trust God to do great things.
That he will.
Yeah.
We just got to follow his path.
Yeah.
So if you had one little bit of advice that you could give for, say, a rising ninth grade student who's about to hit, high school and then go through this college process, what is your advice?
Take it seriously, but take it easy, because God is going to put you where you're supposed to be.
That's pretty, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
That is, got to take it serious, and you have to. So rest at ease, moms and dads and parents of middle school kids.
Take a nap.
Yeah. He's got this, and I agree with you. And I'm excited now to see what God does with you, because you're confident he's going to, and so am I. Number two, I'm excited to be on your podcast. Can't wait till we get that invite, because maybe we'll be the first old people on your podcast.
Stop, y'all are old.
Love
Wouldn't that be great?
I'll wear a little cardigan and clutch my pearls.
Caitlin, it has been great having you on our podcast. We, of course, are going to not only pray for you as you head out, but we can't wait to see what great things you have. And maybe down the road, after you have that big interview with Nick Saban, we'll bring you back on. And you can tell us what that experience was like.
Oh, I've had so much fun. Thank you all for
Awesome.
having
Thank
me.
you.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for listening to another episode of From the Mount.